All right, if you want to get started investing and you can only come up with maybe $100 or so, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I would do it, where I would do it, because you can't do this a lot of different places. And I'm going to show you a really dangerous mistake that you should avoid as a new investor as well. And you're going to need at least $100 in this one, so start looking if you don't have it already. So unfortunately, it's been challenging for smaller investors to kind of get into the investment game because a lot of places you actually need a good amount of money to get started. So a lot of mutual funds require that you have $1,000, $5,000, or even $10,000 to get started. And then additionally, most online brokers and offline brokers won't allow you to buy a partial share of a stock. So if you want to buy a stock that's actually kind of expensive, you have to come up with that much money just to buy one share. I've been looking for a place where I can buy fractional shares. And the good news is that I found one, and I'll have it linked up down below. So what this means for you and I is that even if we don't have a whole bunch of money, we can buy shares of Berkshire Hathaway, we can buy shares of Apple, we can buy shares of Google. And so I recently opened an account with this company because I've been so excited, and I'm actually going to be funding my Roth IRA in there, and I'll just show you a little bit what this process is like. Now at this point, I should mention another video I did about how to get started investing even if you have no money. And this is kind of a really cool alternative to kind of get you started investing. So I'll have that linked up above as well as down below in the description. Now, before we get into the specifics of how I would invest $100 if that was all I had and I just wanted to get started, I have to say I am not an investment advisor. We actually have a directory of financial advisors if you want to hire one over on our website. I'll have it linked up down below. You can check that out if you want. But if you are looking to do this yourself, I will tell you what I did. And this is not financial advice to you. I don't know your situation, but you can take it and run with it and do what you wish. All right, so I have been a student of Warren Buffett for a long time now. I've read a few books written about him. He hasn't written many himself, but he has written his annual reports and he shares a lot of his wisdom in there. And if you don't know who Warren Buffett is, he's one of the richest men in the world. He has been in the top 5 richest people probably for the last, 20, 30 years. And on top of that, he has made his wealth by making smart investment choices. So when Warren Buffett gives investment advice, I think it's worth listening. And when people ask Warren Buffett what advice he has for new investors to get started investing, he doesn't say, buy my stock, which he could, it's a great investment, but instead Warren Buffett says that you should consistently buy an S&P 500 low-cost index fund. And just in case you think he's just blowing smoke and this is just what he's telling the media but not the real thing, in Warren's will, he actually has these instructions for his wife on how to invest his money after he dies. He says to put 10% of it into short-term government bonds and then the other 90% into an S&P 500 low-cost index fund, and he recommends Vanguard. So again, I have met some really smart financial advisors out there, and you may have as well, but I've never personally met anyone who's been as good with their money as Warren Buffett has. And when he gives financial advice like this, and specifically for his wife after he dies, I just feel like that's something that we have to pay attention to. And so this is what I'm going to be doing right now. I'm going to walk you through the process of how I'm doing this with this new awesome tool that I found. All right, so here we are in my account, and I'm just going to show you what's going on. So I opened this account a couple weeks ago, and I funded it. And since this is my Roth IRA, I have contributed my amount that I can contribute for the year, which is $5,500. And so even though this video is about how to invest $100, the process is going to work exactly the same way. And so the way these guys do things is that you build a portfolio. So you pick all the stocks or the mutual funds or index funds or whatever that you want, and then they just automatically invest the amount of money that you have in cash into those different investments. So in my case, I'm just going to do what Warren Buffett recommends and just put it 100% into the S&P 500 low-cost index fund and Vanguard funds like he recommends. I've been invested in those in years in some of my other accounts, and they're just great. And I just love the way Vanguard does things, so that is what we're going to be doing today. So from here, all I need to do is come over here to edit my portfolio. And right now I have this Berkshire Hathaway in here, but what I'm going to do is change that. And so you can just add as many different stocks as you want. So if you want to add different stocks, you can just add them to it. And just kind of add them to the mix. You can set the percentage that you want. And so, in our case, if we're only investing $100, what that's going to do is it'll invest $10 over to Amazon, 10 to Apple, and then we need to move this down to 80. Over to Berkshire Hathaway if we were going to do that. But that's not what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be moving this out, and I'm going to find, just search up here, Vanguard S&P 500, and we're going to go ahead and click add this to the basket. Now just think of click it down here just to make sure it's in there. We're going to change this to 100, and then we're going to remove Berkshire, and then we'll click save. Confirm our changes. And since I already have my account funded, so after opening the account, I had to transfer money over here from my bank. And since that's already taken care of, and this auto invest on thing is already set that way, it will automatically invest all the money that's in my account into whatever index funds that I've selected. And you can change this setting if you want, but this is how I'm going to leave it. So anytime I transfer money over this account, it's going to automatically invest it in this S&P 500 fund for me. And so I'm just going to go ahead and get it started though, just by coming over and clicking buy. And then I can just type in the amount I want. And what that's going to do is clear out all of my cash balance and then buy that. And then I can just go ahead and click confirm. And then now during the next trading window, it's just going to go ahead and make that purchase for me. It's sort of, I have a pending buy of $5,500, and that will be invested in this Vanguard S&P 500. And it's really that simple. So I love this platform. I love the ability to, like I said, buy fractional shares because if you look at, let's just go ahead and look over here. Let's look at Google, for example. It's a really expensive stock. So right now it's $1,200 a share. So if you wanted to buy a share of Google at almost every other online broker, you would have to have $1,200. But if you're using this service, M1 here, you can buy it for really $10, $20. You can be buying a small fraction of Google and be getting some of their returns without having to buy the entire stock. Now, there are a handful of questions that I had before I got started, and you might have the same questions, so I'll just kind of walk you through a few of those. So one of the first is like, what does it cost to use? And this platform is free to use, which is kind of amazing. They actually made this change about a year ago or so. They used to charge fees, but now they've since gotten rid of them. And the way they make money, I'll flip that over here. And so again, here it talks about how you can invest for free using them. You don't have to pay any commissions, in which this is like almost unheard of with online brokers. There's another one I know of called Robinhood, which offers free trades, but it's really, really rare that you find an online broker who offers free trades. And so they do have fees for a whole bunch of random things, like if you need paper copies or if you're going to do wire transfers and things like this. You know, these are all normal things that, you know, any kind of bank or brokerage firm charges fees for. But in general, for most of what you and I are probably going to be doing with the service, we're not going to pay any fees, which is just awesome. And another question I had was about security. That's always something I'm concerned about when I'm dealing with my money, when I'm dealing with any sort of online account. And they are SIPC secured, and they're protected up to $500,000. And that's a form of insurance that basically a lot of investment firms use. So just like you have FDIC for banking, that kind of insurance, SIPC is kind of for investments. And they also have everything encrypted, which makes me feel good. And then they have two-factor authentication, which is kind of the current standard that most websites use for keeping things secure. And basically what that means is that you have to have your cell phone on you in order to log into the account, because they're going to text you a code or that type of thing. And so it's really a great way to make sure your account stays secured. And I honestly just love how simple it is and how they keep it really simple. I've worked with a lot of different investing platforms, and a lot of them tend to get too complicated and just have too many things going on to where it's a little bit overwhelming. And I really like how these guys just keep it really simple and clean. So anyway, that is the gist of it. If you have any questions about them that I can answer, I'm happy to answer those down in the comments below. And we'll have a link to them up above so you can check them out, or down in the description below if you want to go check them out as well. Now, the mistake that many new investors make, and that Warren Buffett actually, again, cautions new investors against, is buying individual stocks, especially when you don't know what you're doing, and especially when you actually need the money for something in the future. Because when you buy a stock, you are becoming a part owner of that company, and if that company happens to go under, you can lose all of your money. I have done this with certain stocks that I've bought in the past. It actually can happen. Now, on the other hand, if you were buying an index fund or a mutual fund, the likelihood of you losing all of your money is very slim. Now, we all know the upside of buying the right stock at the right time. You can make tons of money, and you're less likely to have those kind of gains with an index fund or a mutual fund, but the downside risk is a whole lot better. Now, if you found this helpful, I'd love it if you could leave us a like down below to let me know. And if you're new to our channel, my name is Bob Lotich, and what we do here is we talk about practical ways to kind of put more money in your pocket like this. But then we also talk about some of the timeless biblical principles on how to manage our money wisely, because after all, what's the point if we're not managing it wisely. So if that resonates with you, feel free to subscribe. I'd love to stay connected. And in this next video, I'm going to point you to one that I referenced early in the video where you can get started investing with no money. And so even if you don't have your $100 yet, you should check out this other video because it'll show you how to get started investing even if you don't have any money yet.